Hi, thanks for tuning in to part 2 of this video lesson where we are going to go over two new essential vocabulary words, counterclaims and rebuttals. Counterclaims and rebuttals, which should be included in any argument, whether that's written or spoken. So a counterclaim is exactly what it sounds like. Imagine that you're, sitting at the table and you're on one side and someone else is on the other side and you're having an argument. Well, a counterclaim is just an argument that goes against or contradicts your claim. And it may be totally valid. The person may bring up some great points. And if you are a good argumentative writer, you're going to anticipate those counterclaims. And to anticipate means to expect that someone's going to bring them up. We don't want to play ignorant and pretend that our points are the only good points. We're not that great. So a good writer is going to expect what counterclaims may come up, and they're going to be prepared to address those counterpoints with the rebuttal, which is just a response to the counterclaim. It's like a back and forth, back and forth. Arguments be like that sometimes, y'all. So basically, your rebuttal is your comeback. And good writers have their rebuttals prepared before getting into a debate or writing an argument. And I'm going to show you what some of these look like soon, but I just want to show you first where you might find them or where you might put them in your arguments. They do need to go together. Counterclaim and rebuttal, they're like Bert and Ernie, SpongeBob and Patrick, peanut butter and jelly. Okay, anytime someone launches a counterclaim at you, or anytime you include a counterclaim someone might have in your writing, a rebuttal should follow. So you can either include these at the very end of your argument, after you've supported your claim with reasoning, evidence, and warrants, or you can include them throughout your argument after each kind of block of reasoning, evidence, and warrant. So let's look at a familiar example that you did 2 days ago. You read this article, The Ugly Truth About Beauty. And I mentioned that we'd go over this part a little more in depth because that's where our counterclaims and rebuttals are going to be. How did I know that? Well, let me get my highlighter function going. I knew that because, first of all, they hadn't included any real counterclaims throughout the article, so I assumed that since Dave Barry is such a good writer, that he would put it somewhere near the end, which he did. And our counterclaim is right here. Of course, many women will argue that the reason they become obsessed with trying to look like Cindy Crawford is that men, being as shallow as a drop of spit, want women to look that way. To which I have two responses. So this sentence, he's acknowledged a point that could go against the reason he tried to make. And he said he starts his rebuttal here, actually, to which I have two responses. So he was prepared for this argument with some interesting evidence here. Number one being that, hey, just because we're idiots doesn't mean you have to be. And two, men don't even notice 97% of the beauty efforts you make anyway. And then he goes on to list some more statistics, which I'm not sure are scientific. Definitely not sure about 5,000 hours per year worrying about fingernails, but that's obviously exaggeration there. But in a rebuttal, you do want to provide evidence that would go against the counterclaim. Okay. Because that will help shut your counterclaim down. That's ultimately what you want to do. Whenever someone comes at you with a counterclaim, you want to have evidence that will prove it wrong, or if not wrong, prove that your suggestion or your way of thinking is the better way. Okay. So for today's assignment, you are reading a new text about parenting styles. You're going to get 3 different types of styles in this article here, and you can listen to it as well. And on your argument writing doc, I want you to answer, what counterclaim does the author provide for each of the 3 types of parenting styles? So where are you going to find that? Well, you're either going to find it at the end or sprinkled throughout. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a hint that your counterclaims are going to be pretty clearly marked and they're going to be sprinkled throughout. Don't think too hard on this one. And then the second part of the assignment is to come up with your own counterclaim for why each parenting style might not be the most effective way to raise your child. I'm sure all of us fall under one of these styles or maybe a range of these styles. I think for a long time I was under the free range parenting. And I'm pretty happy about that. I feel pretty lucky. Not all of us are that lucky. So that's all you're doing today. And as always, I will review counterclaim tomorrow. And you'll take a low points quiz on this article. So if you want to go ahead and read it, it's available to you. And you could even start working on your quiz. But I think the video lesson that I'll do tomorrow will probably help you perform better. So feel free to move ahead if you want, but definitely make sure that you watch this video lesson that I'll post by tomorrow morning before you are totally done with your quiz.